Okay, we are live, but I gotta let it breathe just for a moment here, peeps. Really excited to see everybody tonight. Let me just one more check mark. Come on now. There we go. Bring those Instagram peeps along, and we are good. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host tonight, Chad Jensen. Zach Kelberman, unfortunately, could not make it tonight. A little something came up, but I'm excited to be here with you guys. We have so much stuff to talk about. So it's good to see you guys. Some hellos. We got the unique prep uh, extraordinaire Meister General, Zachary Smouse in the house. Unique prepping. Good to see you, big dog. We've got some really early commenters like David Youngkin jumping in. What's up, buddy? But off the bat, some super chats. Road Glide Nation jumping in early. Really appreciate you. Saying good evening, MHH family, Chad and Zach. How are you feeling about our Broncos this year? Well, I got to tell you, I feel better than what the national media view kind of is. And to be frank with you, a lot of the local perspective, like the Denver Posts and the radio peoples and whatnot. I think, that's the report. If you guys saw this, an article on milehighhuddle.com earlier today from your boy here, recapping what ESPN insider Jeremy Fowler said. He was at the Saturday practice, day 4, right? Talking to the Broncos coaches and staff and personnel. And it's like, man, Broncos are excited about this Bo Nix kid. He gets up there, he's able to process pre-snap at the line of scrimmage, and they really feel like they've got something. They think they got something in this Bo Nix. And that's the first step to really answering this question, Road Glide Nation, because if you got the quarterback, then you've got a fighting chance in the league. And so that's still the question is, well, do they have it? Bo Nix, they'll play me when they think I'm ready. He already knows it's a matter of course. The Broncos are looking for every opportunity to play the kid. And yeah, he's going to bump his head here and there. We saw, throws a pick to Levi Wallace on Saturday. You're going, oh, dope. Homer Simpson, comes back 3 straight touchdowns in the red zone drill. Yeah, one was a gimme in the flat to Samaje Perine, but one was a beautiful post in the Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. I don't know what just happened. Maybe an internet issue. You guys let me know in the chat. I don't have a producer tonight. I don't have a co-host tonight. So you guys are my eyes and ears. You let me know in the chat if there's any technical difficulties. I just saw a little spin wheel, so I hope we can overcome that. But anyway, Road Glide, I feel good about it. I feel good about this team. I think they are going to. Okay, thanks, Graham. I think the Broncos are going to surprise some people. Are they going to go win a Super Bowl? No, that's not going to happen this year. Okay, but they're going to surprise some people. He also says here with the second super chat, thank you, big dog. I was not a Bo fan, but I've really come around to him. I think he fits Sean Payton's system perfectly, and I think we're going to surprise people this year, 10-7. There you go. Exactly. That's one of the keys that continually was getting missed on the Bo Nix lands in Denver at pick 12 blowback, for lack of a better term, was, hey, what about when you're talking about ideal selections and ideal free agent signings, draft picks, etc., you're looking at that fit. And yeah, perhaps it can be argued that there were more physically impressive quarterbacks in this class that went higher, like Caleb and Jaden. Maybe you could say those guys were more physically gifted, or even J.J. McCarthy in some ways. Definitely that arm southpaw on Michael Penix Jr. But no, none of them kind of had all the little boxes checked relative to Sean Payton, like Bo Nix did. That fit, that pre-snap cognition, the quick processing, the accuracy. And one thing you're seeing play out early, and again, guys, let me know if there was, I haven't had any problems with my internet on a live stream in many moons. So that was a little bit of a bummer to see that. So if it happens again, guys, please let me know. But what's up, Duchess? Good to see you. Phil, what's up? How long was I out, by the way? Because I only saw a spinning wheel for like 2 seconds. I'm curious. How long was I maybe spinning for you guys? But one of the differences you're seeing right out of the gates here at training camp, and it's palpable, is you look at Jarrett Stidham, and from a command and kind of a keeping things rolling perspective, he's a little bit more consistent, but he's playing it safe. And that's what coaches like about journeyman backup quarterback caliber dudes like Jarrett Stidham is if your starter, your guy that you're pinning the hopes on goes down, has to miss any time, you can give it to Stidham. And yeah, he might not light the scoreboard up, but he's going to keep things moving, hopefully. You're going to give up some of the explosivity and the big play potential for just don't set us behind the chains on the reg, right? Just don't kill us with a cavalcade of negative plays. But the best quarterbacks in the league, like your Peyton Mannings all time, your John Elways, your Tom Brady's, your Drew Breeses, these cats, they could walk that razor's edge, right? It's a blade. Playing it safe in terms of making the right decisions, making the right reads, keeping the chains moving. And the other side of that blade, which is, having Sean talked about this, Payton talked about this, I want to say it was after Friday's practice, that knack, it can't be taught. It's a natural thing. Some guys either have it or they don't, where all those stars align, they see the opportunity, and their brain translates that information into go, boom, deliver the ball. Whereas some people, those things happen. It's a little slower delay. By the time they recognize it's something and they let loose, it's too late. Pick. They miss their opportunity, or they just don't end up having the gumption to green light it and go. Little things like that. Bo Nix, if you're watching the difference, if you want to see the difference between Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham, it's that Bo Nix is going to push the ball a little bit. He is going to take some chances. The Jarrett Stidham, he's in a fear of loss kind of mode. You know what I mean? We talk about this. You guys have heard me talk about this on the podcast before. Two kind of people who are either motivated by hope of gain or fear of loss. And as the incumbent veteran guy who is QB1 to open things up this offseason, Stidham, I think that's his mindset, generally speaking. But in this competition, definitely Jarrett Stidham is in a fear of loss mindset. That's why he's playing it safe, dump off, check down, hit the curl, da-da-da. But you're not getting the negative play, so it's the give, it's the take. Whereas Bo Nix, every once in a while, you're going to get one of these mistakes. You'll get a pick by Levi Wallace or whatever, an off-target throw, and you grade that. Sean Payton talks about it. We grade the decision, we grade the throw, all these things. But you're factoring that in the grand scheme of things, like what was the play? Why did he make that throw? Why was the read what it was? And sometimes it's not as bad as just the obvious look from the sideline or up on the berm at the facility might lead you to believe. So anyway, Bo Nix, dude, I'm getting long-winded, but hey, I got to be long-winded tonight. I'm solo, so I hope you guys can rock with me. Papa Bear, good to see you tonight too, my friend. Saying good evening, Broncos country. Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. God bless the USA. Amen. Hashtag MHH for life, Broncos for life. 12-5. So we got a 10-7. We got a 12-5. I love it. I absolutely freaking love it, y'all. We got the Duchess chiming in from the top rope. Love you. Thank you, my friend. She says, what is your opinion about Nick so far? I heard players are already navigating to him. I want it to work out so bad. Love you. Yes. I mean, I'm happy to continue talking more about Bo Nix because if you guys remember in the immediate aftermath of the draft, and as we kind of started getting into some of the offseason little OTA camps and whatnot, I was like, check it out. It's hard to tell in the OTAs. So, like, you kind of just have to bide your time during OTAs. But when you get to training camp, all it's going to take is a short matter of time, and you're going to see that the cream rises to the top. And one of the frustrating components about some of these previous open competitions in Broncos training camp, going back to Paxton versus Trevor or, Drew versus Teddy, whatever, is you didn't really have a palpable, obvious, evident guy. And so the coaches would just err on the side of the veteran or the dude with the experience or whatever, right? And I've been telling you from the beginning that it might not happen day 1, day 2, day 3, but it's not going to be that long before it becomes pretty clear Bo Nix is separating from these cats. I mean, Jarrett Stidham he's already reached the ceiling of what he's ever going to be able to deliver a football team. He's a one-and-one guy. He's hey, I'll step in for 2 games, keep the seat warm guy. It's never going to be better than that. That's who that cat is. Zach Wilson. I maintain, as you guys know, this is something that kind of a point of demarcation between my podcasting partner and I, Zach. But I think there is a sliver of hope that a quarterback whispering coach like Sean Payton could be able to get a little something out of Zach Wilson because of that first top two pedigree and all that. But it's neither here nor there. You got to invest that time that you might put into like trying to, resuscitate this cat into Bo Nix, because Bo Nix is a clean slate and he's got more of a brain that matches, the whole Sean Payton thing. Like Zach Wilson, some physical traits that are impressive and kind of set him apart even from Nix, but he just doesn't have it between the ears. Bo Nix has all those things. So anyway, I'm excited about Bo Nix. I think honestly, guys, I've been saying this, but I think by the time you get to the first preseason game, little week and a half from now, whatever, 2 weeks maybe, it's going to be pretty clear. The coaches are excited about what they're seeing from Bo Nix. Again, according to Jeremy Fowler, in case you missed that. Taylor, what's up, bro? Hey, Chad, heard Bo's looking good so far. Yes, indeed, he has. Now, not everybody is praising this kid. Like, the first practice Friday that was open to the public, oh, I don't know about this Bo Nix, but it would be the one step. It'd be like this: 2 steps forward, 1 step back type thing. But you're still going that 1 step forward. You're still getting one more step out of that equation. So you're in the plus, in other words. And Bo Nix, like if you guys can remember from the last OTA event, the mini camp, and they cut it short. They could have had one more day of practice, but they cut them loose. And that last day, we got to hear from the coaches. And Joe Lombardi, I'll paraphrase him. One of the things he said about Bo Nix was, you rarely have to tell him the same thing twice, or you rarely have to correct something twice. And Bo Nix talked a little bit about that on Saturday. So, guys, lots more to get into, but real fast, I got to remind you, with the big wireless providers out there, what you see, it's never what you get. Somewhere between the store and you're excited, you got your new plan, you got your new phone, and your first month's bill, the price that you thought you're going to be paying, it just magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, however, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, then it's $15 a month. It's what they mean. So say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans and that jaw-dropping monthly bill and unexpected, I should say, overages. Here's what you do. To get this new customer offer from Mint Mobile and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just 15 clams a month, you go to mintmobile.com/huddle. That is mintmobile.com/huddle. Cut your wireless bill of $15 a month, mintmobile-/huddle. And remember, $45 up front payment is required, and it's equivalent to the 15 per month. But new customers on their first 3-month plan only. Okay, so new customers only, and speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, Mint Mobile, much love and respect. Good stuff. Helping you save coin without having to sacrifice data and coverage. This is good. All right, back to the chat. And I titled tonight, Zach's unavailability was sudden. And so I titled tonight's episode around the expectation of having kind of a discussion about the biggest risers and fallers, along with you guys, of course. But now it's just going to be you and I. So let's talk about it. I want to hear from you guys who you think some of the biggest risers and fallers are so far. I mean, it's only been 4 days of practice, but the Ronk, good to see you, big dog, on Facebook. Good evening chat on the MHH podcast. Go Broncos. Good to see you. Roy Osborne, happy to see you, big dog. String Guy, what's good? Graham, what's good? Happy to see you. Said hello there. Okay, let me see. Howie throwing down. What's up, big dog? Good to see Howie frickin' day in the frickin' house on a frickin' Sunday. Rocking it frickin' solo style. Always want to hear from my fellow guitar nerd, String Guy, who says, I think the real question is, how good can a rookie quarterback be? It took Elway a full season to come into his own. I don't put Nix on the same tier as John. Well, dude, here's the problem with that, and I feel you. But you can't go around using John Elway as like the litmus test for quarterback development. It started pretty slow for Elway. I would argue a little longer than a year to come into his own. like to come into the guy we expected, right? 83, 84, 85, things, 86 is when it kind of floodgates open. What year is that? That's his 4th year in the league. Now you can pick nits. We can split hairs over, when he really emerged. But what I'm getting at here is you don't want to use a Hall of Fame guy as like this is the litmus test with which to measure Bo Nix to. I agree with you that you typically don't see a rookie come in and just take the league by storm. It's usually when that happens with a quarterback, it's like Patrick Mahomes, year 2. Last year, C.J. Stroud in Houston was one of the very few exceptions, but I mean, Cam Newton did it back in 2011. I mean, there are guys that do it. So it really, to me, comes down to, the quarterback himself obviously is Bo Nix, a guy you could see outkicking his coverage as a rookie or outkicking the traditional expectations of a rookie quarterback. Let's put it that way. And if so, why? And I would say yes. And the if so why would be Sean Payton. Sean Payton does more than just level the playing field. He's level up the playing field for his quarterbacks. So you go back in time. I wrote a lot about this over the offseason. You look at all the different quarterbacks Sean Payton touched as initially a quarterbacks coach to becoming an OC to then becoming a head coach and so on and so forth. Without fail, at every stop, the quarterbacks that were the main guys and even guys who weren't the main guys like Tony Romo at the time, without fail, they outkicked their coverage. I mean, even Drew Brees, dude, he was resurrected by Sean Payton off the NFL trash heap. No disrespect to him. Like the NFL, they're like, nah, stick a fork in that cat. He's done. So anyway, I'm excited about Bo Nix, and these first 4 days of camp have only made me all the more excited. Eric says Cecil Lammy of 104.3 The Fan, Denver Sports, had an article saying Stidham's playing it safe while Nix is more on the bold side. There you go. Really insightful on how they are both approaching it. It's a good read. I know it's still early, but I really liked hearing about Nix. Hearing that about Nix. Yeah, and dude, there's a few people in our market outside of the MHH thing that like I 100% co-sign. I mean, you're never going to agree on everything 100%, but in terms of being able to tell you guys, this cat, I mean, you guys don't need me to tell you, Cecil Lammy knows what's up. I mean, this dude knows what's up. And he's also a really good guy. Quality cat, down to earth, highly creative, highly passionate, highly knowledgeable. So I trust his takes. There are times on certain things I'll reach out to him and get his take on something just to kind of check my own interpretation of a player or an event or whatever. So yes, go check it out. Much love to Cease. Much love, absolutely. Howie says Bo followed a pick early with 3 tutties in the red zone drill. I don't think any other QB had a TD. Exactly, because that's another thing that separates just human beings who succeed from those who don't. And it's only magnified in the NFL or in pro sports, but especially in the NFL. And that is the short memory. Do you dwell on and linger on your mistakes? You can't. But some people are not wired to overcome that without reconditioning their brains. They have to really like almost get a therapy to overcome that way of thinking. Whereas people who are successful, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, players in the league, they got to have that short memory. They extract whatever lesson there was to be learned from that. And sometimes you don't have time to extract the lesson in that very moment because you got to already turn the page to the next play. But anytime you make a mistake, it's like, hey, dwell on it just long enough to extract the lesson and move on. And some people can't let it go. They beat themselves up. They dwell on it. They worry about what other people are thinking, all this stuff. That's a death sentence to a quarterback. So that's another separator for the quarterbacks who thrive in the league from those who don't. Do you have the short memory? Can you bury the negative play and immediately come back? It's like getting up off the mat in a fight. If you get clocked and you go down, are you down there going, oh man, I suck. I can't believe I missed that right hook. Blah, blah, blah. Before you know it, they counted 10. You're out. Game's over. You just cost yourself. You could have jumped back up. Bo Nix talked about that on yesterday, and I thought it was actually quite insightful on the topic of negative plays, specifically bringing up what you're saying with that Levi Wallace interception. And he said, I'll tell you exactly what he said. Quote, I treat it like a touchdown, and I just go to the next play. A lot's going to happen. You learn a lot out there each play, and that's just my focus right now. Close quote. So in other words, he's not getting any more excited or worked up about it emotionally, a negative play, as he would a touchdown. And how remarkable is that? Takes one on the chin with a pick, especially in a open competition like this. Everything's all the more magnified, right? And he's a rookie and he's a first rounder. I mean, talk about a magnifying glass right up on you. And he goes, no sweat. Boom. Beautiful wheel route to Javonte Williams. Boom. Beautiful post route in the corner of the end zone in a shortened field, space is minimized, as you mentioned. Now the other quarterbacks could make hay except Bo, and then a nice gimme to Pirine. So very encouraging stuff, my brother. And yeah, except I would say Graham, I would say Stidham and Bridgewater. The big difference is Bridgewater is a big baller leader. He's an actual true leader of men. I'm not sure that Stidham could even be mentioned in that same conversation. Maurice Jackson, what's good, bro? Yeah, it has been a minute since your last Super. Great to have you back. Thank you. We appreciate you, big dog. Says, I was there Saturday and all I saw was Knicks for 6 3 times. They put a selfie of me on the website too. Hey, that's rad, dude. Cool. Getting you a little flex out of it too. Little shine, little clout. Good for you, Maurice. That's rad. Thanks for the report, big dog. Zachary Smouse in the house. Thank you for the super chat, my brother. Love what you're doing over there. Forging yourself a little empire on YouTube with the prepping thing. Great to see your success, dude. I love it. He says, Chad and MHH, thank you for being Broncos country. I'm excited about this season and Bo. 9 days until unique prepping is 2 years old, and I'm 3 subs away from 1,500. Dope. Congrats. I have no doubt you'll get over that hump in no time flat. And really inspiring as always. I mean, to see you doing what you're doing and putting a dent in the universe. So good for you, big dog. Proud of you. Much love to Zachary. All right, let me take a drink of my tea here. Got to wet the pipes. All right. Whoa, we got the Lady D throwing down from the top rope. We got all kinds of fighting ring metaphors tonight. The Lady D, really appreciate you, Deanna. I mean, I can't say that enough. You, Michaela, everybody, Smouse, David, tonight. I mean, Maurice checking in already. Taylor, Road Glide throwing down twice. So seriously, you guys, I love you. Thank you. She says, does the Lady D, I'm all for Bo Nix. Have faith in him. Do you think they will keep 3 quarterbacks? How's the offensive line looking? Super excited for this season. Hashtag MHH for life. So let me reverse engineer this question because we've spent already so much time on Bo Nix, which I'm happy to do all day long. But how's the O-line looking? So far, I would say the first team O-line's looking pretty good, but it's hard to really say for sure because they haven't had the pads on. Pads go on tomorrow. That's good news. So we'll start getting a little bit more accurate read on that. But newsflash, in case you missed it, when we're talking risers and fallers, one of the risers that cannot be denied is Luke Wattenberg. I'll include myself in this. For a time this offseason, in the immediate wake of the Bo Nix pick, I'm like, Alex Forsyth. I mean, you got Payton coming in. Hey, give us the read, give us the rundown on this Bo Nix guy before the draft, complimenting him, talking about Forsyth as a starter in the league. It just seemed like 1 + 1 = 2 on that front. But no, Wattenberg, not to be denied. He has not relinquished for a second the first team reps at center. And in fact, it's basically relegated Alex Forsyth to playing a little bit of guard and whatnot. But here's what Coach Payton said about Wattenberg on Saturday after practice. Quote, he's smart. I think he's got good versatility. There are traits that you look forward to in a center. You look for guys that obviously are strong inside handling the pass rush. By the way, I think that was a miss typo by the PR people. There are traits that you look for in a center. You look for guys that obviously are strong inside handling the pass rush. Then it's how are they at the second level? Oftentimes that player is able to combo and get up to a linebacker, but can they finish? So Luke Wattenberg is someone that's pretty athletic and has a really good ability to get to his second level blocks, closed quote. So exciting stuff. And on that front, the O-line, Lady D, we'll know more about it by tomorrow night's show, to be frank. But I'm feeling solid about it. And then would they keep 3? Sean Payton, it's kind of I kind of get a kick out of when Sean Payton gets a question, and because sometimes he can be kind of a gruff curmudgeon at times. He's very moody. Sometimes he's up there, he's in a good mood and he's open and he's not really giving anybody a hard time. Other days he gets up there, man, and you better have your P's and Q's minded, because he will slam you if you step to him in even the most slight way. But I get a kick out of when he'll be asked something and he starts with good question. I go, why is to him A, that a good question? B, why does he feel the need to tell the person asking the question that it's a good question? That's neither here nor there for now. But one of those times, what was it? I want to say Thursday. Hey, coach, do you see yourself keeping 3? Because traditionally, kind of the modern thing with the NFL, it's somewhat situation dependent, but it's you keep 2 on the active, 1 on the practice squad. So he goes, "Hey, coach, you going to keep 3?" And he goes, "Good question." Couldn't really answer it at this point, right? But clearly, to me, if he's saying good question on that front, my brain goes to he might be leaning that way, because I think it's dependent on whether or not Zach Wilson shows some sincere, true signs of life in the preseason. If he does, they're not going to want to risk putting him on waivers. Could end up being Stidham if they go, you know what, we only want to keep 2. They'd feel much more probably comfortable about sneaking Stidham onto the practice squad through the waiver wire than Zach Wilson, because Sean Payton, was not the only coach around the league thinking, man, if we could just get him in our scheme, this former number 2 overall pick, man, we could really make him into something. So anyway, we'll see. And yes, continue to have faith in Bo Nix. Love you, Lady D. Howie says, I still think Bo is named the starter before the first preseason. Before. It's interesting that you say that. Let me see if I can find this quickly and not keep you guys waiting too long. It was yesterday. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Stand by. Nothing to report on the progress of his decision. It'll clear itself up. Well, let me see. This might be what I was thinking, but here's what it is. On the progress report of the quarterbacks, quote, nothing to report right now. Those guys are working hard and they're competing. I'm not going to give updates, daily updates or weekly updates. There will be a time when you'll see the rotation begin to change in a certain way. At some point, it'll clear itself up, but nothing to report right now. Oh man, I want to find it. That's not exactly what it is. So I'm just going to end up paraphrasing him, guys. Forgive me on this, but I was searching for it. Sorry to keep you waiting, but basically what he said was, it's not right now. It's even Steven, right? First practice, it's Stidham running with the ones, then Bo, then Wilson, and then day 4, you're back to the one guy again, and so on and so forth. And he intimated and acknowledged that that's not that conducive to having the best possible training camp you can as a team to prepare your team for the season. Because just like the concerns we had going in, it's like, just name Bo the starter. That guy needs, as not only as the quarterback, as many reps with the first team as possible to get himself ready, but the guys around him getting used to him, getting the chemistry. That's what he's getting at when he, and again, I'm paraphrasing him, but that's what he's talking about. It's like, dude, Sean Payton doesn't want to go through all of August, even Steven. You can't really afford to do that as a team, because you're costing yourself. You very quickly reach the point of diminishing returns, if you get what I'm saying. So maybe you're right, Howie. Maybe it's before the first preseason game, Bo gets named the starter. But on that front, I mean, look, I'll read to you. I would play the clip, but I don't want to get a copyright claim by ESPN. So I'm just going to read to you what Jeremy Fowler said. Okay, quote, I watched all 3 quarterbacks trade shots all day, throwing a series of passes. And I got to tell you, from talking to people here on the ground with the team, They are very impressed with Bo Nix. They feel like they have something. There's not a sentiment of like, oh, he's coming along, or, oh, rookies need time. It's like, no, he's impressive. They just feel like he's able to process information at the line of scrimmage at a high level for a rookie. It showed today. He threw an interception, came back with 3 straight tutty passes in a hurry. So he's making his case, but Jarrett Stidham, Zach Wilson, certainly still in the mix. There you have it. Okay. This is why MHH pods are the best podcasts in the world. Well, I'm glad we're holding her down solo style, my dog. I'm glad we're holding it down. You know we love you, Mike, the Ronk in the house. Lauren, Bo said at the end of his interview yesterday that he'd be starting in Seattle. Well, I'll tell you what he said. I'll tell you what he said. Stand by. Bo Nix, and this was from Woody Page of the Denver Gazette. The last game he played in Seattle, this was at the University of Oregon when they lost the Pac-12 championship game to Washington, who went on to, play in the national title game. Quote, I think about that a lot. This is Bo Nix. It's one of those things that honestly I hope I never forget because of the learning things that happened. It's only fitting that I get to start there this year, and that's where my NFL journey takes off. We're going to be ready to roll. We're going to come out with some enthusiasm and hopefully not let that happen again. Close quote. So it's kind of more of a hint, right? It's not exactly, Lauren, him saying, I'm going to be the guy starting, but he's using the collective, the we, right? Is it just the royal we? In other words, is it a figure of speech, or is it him Freudian slipping and being like, I know something y'all don't know. I'm going to be that starting quarterback, so I can say we. I'm not going to let that happen again. I don't know. It's interesting. Ronk, they bring Broncos content to Broncos country 24/7, 360. Yeah, we try, big dog. We really, I hope you guys know that. Like I want to talk about this, Graham. There's a lot of times it'd be easy, and I'm not trying to like say, oh, give me all these props. I'm not saying that, but to Mike's point, I hope it comes through that and it starts with me. I really strive to make sure we don't ever let you down. When we say it's 7 podcasts, 7 nights a week, I really strive to make sure that we deliver on that. No corner of the stories, the analysis, every angle of this team, I really strive. And it's a unique thing because we are so comprehensive, but we don't bill ourselves as like, hey, pay us money in a subscription or whatever, because, we're there. You guys do this because of the community, our unique insights, the bond that we have, all that stuff. And it means a lot to me. Mike, I appreciate that compliment. But my guys, I have a core group of guys on the staff that really work their tails off to answer the bell. So I wouldn't be able to do it without everybody that checks in and helps out here at MHH. Graham says, me saying, Payton being kind of moody, not as moody as last year. I would agree, but there have been a couple times where it's like, come on, dude, easy, take it easy. Remember the next question. When was that? I want to say it was this year. Maybe I'm tripping. But just like, whatever it was, the first presser he did of this training camp. So last Tuesday, get asked about the decision. And, we're not there yet. We'll keep you posted. And then the very next question is again on that subject. And he's like, just doesn't have patience for that. I said, we'll keep you posted. And then later, like, I can't remember if it was the same interview or if it was the next day. He's like, look, they're like, well, how and when will you keep us posted? And he goes, you'll know when you see who's out there playing with the ones. That's how you'll know. That's me keeping you posted or whatever, right? So he's kind of funny too, but I don't mind it. Honestly, I like having a head coach that is a little bit of an alpha. He'll wield it. He knows how the sausage gets made. So he's not going to let anything slip in a press conference that could in any way, shape, or form compromise his team. So take some confidence in that. I do anyway. Howie, Stiddy is already talking like he will accept being a backup. Well, yeah, we all know the drill. Guys, I've been trying to say this from the get, dude. Sean Payton doesn't have he doesn't have a million years to figure it out, trial and error. You know what I'm saying? You just drafted a quarterback in the first round that's 24 years old and the most experienced quarterback to ever enter the NFL via the draft. How are you going to explain to your owners that you're going to go instead with the $5 million career backup journeyman? Like, if you have to go with Stidham, then obviously you got something wrong in your evaluation of the kid, because you go back to originally pre-draft. Hey, coach, what are the conditions have to be met typically for a rookie to win a starting job at quarterback? Well, it's kind of what you do. First rounder, you go with that guy unless there's already an established guy. And the only example he gave us to kind of qualify what that meant was the Green Bay stuff. Rodgers, Favre, Love, Rodgers, that whole thing. So Broncos don't have that situation. Bo didn't arrive to sitting behind Peyton Manning or Drew Brees or John Elway. He arrived sitting behind a couple of a jag and a bust. Let's just put it that way. So he goes, while Bo had the confidence to say he plans to be the starter, I like the fire and his play shows. I've seen reports that the offense in totality looks more energetic with Bo at QB1. Yeah, it's destiny, dude. It's destiny. Brandon Williams, good to see you, bro. Appreciate the support as always. Big Dog says, this is the best Broncos coverage show there is. Appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you. Really appreciate you, bro. Very kind. Very kind. Stream guy, that's why I love MHH and I watch whenever I'm avails. Best Broncos pod on the web. Oh, you guys are sweeties. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And Pearl, thank you. Thank you, my dear. Okay. I want to touch on a couple of the risers and fallers, and then, guys, anything else you want to get to, we'll do our best to get to it before we run out of time. But let's talk about a few more of the risers and the fallers, okay? I want to draw your attention to another interesting and encouraging development, and that is in the form of wide receiver Josh Reynolds. The former Detroit Lions guy, Broncos bring him in on a 2-year, $9 million deal, something like that. And you go, okay, he's kind of, what's he going to do? He's 6'2", like 194. You've got these really long guys, tall guys. You don't really have, Marvin Mims, what's he, 5'11"? I just got to see this I got to remind myself real fast. Stand by 1 second. Hang tight. Yeah, 5'11". All right. With the exception of Mims and maybe Jalen Virgil, you got everybody's north of 6 foot, right? From Cortland to Timmy P to Brandon Johnson. Well, I better double check Brandon Johnson. Stand by. I got to check my premise here, boys and girls. Brandon Johnson. Yeah, that's the guy right there. Yeah, 6'2". All right. Okay. Little Jordan Humphrey. So you go, well, how's this cat going to fit in this Josh Reynolds? Because, how does he distinguish himself? So far, so good. Who was the brought up Cease earlier? But Cecil's gushing about Josh Reynolds, and it was enough. I actually wrote an article around it. And then Coach Payton, he said, quote, on the subject of Reynolds, he's flexible, he's smart. This was on Friday, by the way. He's flexible, he's smart. He's someone who has, believe it or not, he's linear built, but he can block. I think he has good hands in traffic, and I like his stature. I like his length. He loves playing. If you guys are around him or you're interviewing him and you see him in the mornings, he's one of those guys who's upbeat. He seems to be having a good day and really seems to enjoy what he's doing. He's been a good addition, close quote. So, really good to see so far early returns on it's not like they spent big money on him, but it's good to see that one of the free agent decisions so far, he's making good. We mentioned another one of the risers, that's Luke Wattenberg. You'd probably have to just by default say that Alex Forsythe, he's a faller, but I don't think it's in the sense that he's looked bad, but he just hasn't been able to get a play in edgewise on Wattenberg so far. Like Wattenberg, he's got first team locked down. So interesting stuff. We got the Duchess jumping back in again. Another very generous super chat. This is why Michaela is family. She knows this. Much love. She says it's nice this year to have hope. Last year was here we go again. Same old crap again. I definitely was pretty cranky. Yeah. Hey man, we all had our cranky moments last year, you know. But listen, hope springs eternal when you've got a quarterback in whom you can actually invest some hope. Um, think about what it would have been. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Lady D. She says I was cranky too. LOL. Think about staring down the barrel of a 2024 season with Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. If they take like a corner, a receiver, an edge at 12, and that's what old regime. That's the kind of thing you'd have expected. I was just like, it just gave me a huge boost of confidence that Sean Payton's Broncos see the forest for the trees, and they know they are dead in the water without a quarterback, and they took a chance on their guy. Now, you can choose to believe whether or not Sean Payton was telling the truth about Bo Nix always being the guy they were after. The skeptic in me, the cynic in me goes, yeah, that's what I'd be saying too. But if it weren't for a couple of extenuating factors by way of evidences, we'll call it circumstantial evidence in the court of Broncos football, one of which being just the obvious, clear, evident fit. I mean, you had everybody pre-draft going, this is the guy that fits Peyton, people comparing Nix to Drew Brees, all that stuff. But then in that Unbreakable podcast conversation with Jay Glazer, not Sean Payton, let slip. Yeah, and remember I had to talk you out of that plan you had with Bo Nix, And he goes, and Sean Payton was like, huh? He like had to be reminded of it. And Jay Glazer's like, yeah, you're going to go show up to his house the night of the draft. In other words, Sean Payton, it's like draft day, the cheesy NFL draft movie with Kevin Costner is, I forget the player's name, but it's, he writes himself a note and he's looking at it all day and that's who he's got to take. Don't let anyone talk you off that. But they had the first overall pick in the story anyway. But it was like that. And Jay Glazer's basically, we find out Sean Payton's like, yo, Jay, before the draft, I got this idea. I'm so like in on this Bo Nix kid and I'm pretty sure he's going to be there for us at 12. I'm going to fly to where he lives and I'm going to be there to knock on the door to announce the pick. And, Glazer's talked him out of it. But was that just a buddy? Because we know they're close friends. Here's where the cynicism comes into play. Was that just a buddy, Jay Glazer, going, I'm going to kind of help my friend out here and help him create perception that it was always going to be Bo Nix? Or was that the sincere truth? Because if it was the sincere truth, then it was always Bo Nix. Very interesting. But Michaela, hope springs eternal. Let's go. It's all in on Bo Nix. Let's not waste any time, Coach Payton, spinning our wheels with the Stidhams and the Wilsons of the world. We've been, hey, Broncos country been down that road too many times since 2015, right? That was a triumphant moment. This one's for Pat, but it's just been living hell for Broncos fans ever since then. Let's just not make the same stupid mistakes that the old regimes were making, one after the other. Nick Hale, good to see you, big dog. Chad, I'm thinking our wide receiver group will be loaded with talent. Who makes the roster? Much love, P.S. If you're new to Mile High Huddle, like, follow, and read their amazing articles. They're the best pod articles out there. And also follow Chad's band, Bridge the Gap. They're amazing. Much love. Yeah. Bridge the Gap. That's Bridge the Gap is if you are new. So like my first love, it was always Denver Broncos football from the time I was a kid. All right, child. But my second thing was music and playing guitar and playing in bands and punk rock. And so I did that a lot. My college years, my college ages, playing in bands and all this stuff. And then I set it down for 10 years. Like my old band, we play on the Warped Tour twice, 2001, 2002. Like, we really tried hard at it, but then eventually put it down, started families, got back to real life careers, businesses, whatnot. And then just a couple years ago, long story short, we decided to kind of get it going again, but just for fun. So it's like some people go out, they hunt, some dudes, they'll hunt, they'll fish, they're into outdoors, or they go, collect pew pews, or they do different things. They people garden, they all different kind of hobbies. Mine just happens to be the music thing, doing the band thing. And in the summertime is when we kind of try to schedule bridge the gap activity as far as playing shows and stuff, because it doesn't conflict with the football calendar. So yeah, thanks, buddy. His question though, who makes the roster on the wide receiver group? It just depends. It depends. I mean, I think we know Cortland's a lock. Reynolds a lock. Mims is a lock. And then from there, it starts getting interesting. I think Timmy P is going to make it. There's 4. And then it really starts getting fierce. But I'll probably say, besides the 4 I just mentioned, I'd probably throw in Lil Jordan Humphrey and Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson gave you some bang for the buck last year. He didn't get that many bites at the apple, but what bites he got, I mean, by the time you got the apple back, it's gone. He's like, 2 bites, gone. You're like, dang, dude, I wanted some of that. But to illustrate, let me just explain to you what I'm saying. Let me go to Pro Football Reference. So Brandon Johnson last year, he only started 2 games. He appeared in 13. 30 targets, that's it. Hauled in 19 of them for 284 yards and 4 touchdowns. Let's do that math. Of his 19 receptions, 4 were touchdowns. So he's scoring often. That's just a high bang for the buck, right? And he also had that killer Hail Mary in Chicago, that catch, the tutty. So I don't know. That's what I would say, Nick. I'm curious to hear what you guys might think on that front. 47 minutes. We're getting pretty close here, guys. I'm going to be dipping out soon. So let me go back to some risers, some fallers. Risers, fallers. I'll throw in there Javonte Williams, by the way. I mean, he did have to stare down some doubts during the offseason, some kind of bold predictions that he might be on the bubble. Nah. He lost 11 pounds. He's lean, mean. He's looking good, earning mega praise. Zach Wilson, though, we got to include as a definite faller. Like, he just hasn't been able to get any ground, so to speak. Bo Nix, talk of the town. Fans are just oohing and on about Bo Nix. And meanwhile, Zach Wilson just swimming. Greg Dulcich, good to have Weird Al Yankovic's body double back, his doppelganger, because he just makes a difference. So just knock on wood, football gods, etc. Please take care of those hamstrings, because if Dulcich is available, he's going to make a difference. Levi Wallace, it looked like for a second, it's like, well, who's going to lock down that boundary corner job opposite of PS2? I was hopeful it would be Riley Moss, and it still might. But Levi Wallace, man, he's getting a lot of his hands finding the ball. He had that pick on Bo, a lot of deflections, whereas Moss, still around the ball, still intense, still tight in coverage, but you're not seeing the impact and the ball production. So we're kind of long on the show. I'll kind of stop it there. Yeah, dude. On Twitch, Broken Pirates, how do we feel about Audric Estime? I think Audric Estime is going to be just a beast, dude. An absolute animal. Absolute animal. So far, he's looked good, I think. Coming off of an injury, so they're taking it slightly easy with him. But, and bad news in case you missed it. Brandon Jones, the safety they signed 4 years or 3 years, 20 million, was it? Something like that. Anyway, hamstring injury on Friday. Found out yesterday he's going to miss probably 2 weeks. So you're going, dang it. They were already kind of thin at safety because, Caden Stern started on the PUP list. Well, thankfully, Saturday they activated Caden Stearns off the PUP list. He passed his physical, but don't get your hopes up too quickly because it was all sideline work, individual, working with trainers, all that stuff. They have to kind of ease him back in because he's coming off a patellar tendon tear in the first game of last season, if you guys can remember. So, but still, good news that he's coming back. Bad news, Brandon Jones getting banged up out of the gates. Bummer. One of the guys they spent some money on. And Kroll, I would say Kroll is Lucas Kroll, the tight end, I would say he's a water treader at this point. And all I mean by that is we already were like, whoa, Sean Payton's like gushing about this dude in the offseason. He's looking good. So far, he's just kind of looked like that. Has he like been blowing the doors down? Has he been turning Greg Dulcich into an afterthought? No. But he's holding his own. I think he's pretty much a lock to make the roster. Troutman, Dulcich, Kroll, and then you keep a guy on the practice squad who can block, and then you use your elevations like when you're going up against a team where you're going to game plan a heavy run, you elevate that blocking tight end, a couple, 2-3 times during the season. That's probably what they'll do. Meanwhile, Troutman, he's kind of a jack of all, master of none, but he's more of the guy he's your blocking guy on the roster. And then if you need a little extra help, you pull that one guy off the practice squad. But guys, before I dip on out of here, got to give some shouts to our social media. Make sure you're following our main podcast account on Twitter at the MHH Pod X, whatever you want to call it. Our main account at Mile High Huddle. Make sure you are following us on Facebook at Mile High Huddle. You want to get a hat, you want to get a t-shirt, support the cause. Another great way to help us keep the lights on. Go to mhhmerch.com. Get your swag on. Instagram, what's up? You guys got any questions? I almost forgot that you're there, and you're not even asking any questions. So, Riley, hey, howdy, right back at you, dog. But silence from IG. But guys, if you're on Instagram, follow us over there at mile_high_huddle. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Very, very, very helpful if you can leave us a 5-star review, whether it's Apple Podcasts. In fact, I'm gonna actually do this right now. I'm gonna change this little, just like this. Check it. Boom. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some swag each month. Yes, and we're gonna be getting back to doing the raffles. I got a DT jersey, large. Hey, who? Let me ask you this. Random, total random. Smouse, what size jersey you wear? Quickly in the comments. Smouse, what size jersey you wear, big dog? This is what happens. Random. Taylor, what size jersey you wear, dog? Let me know. David, what size jersey do you wear? I want to know. While I'm getting some answers on that front. No. This is where it's like, hey man, I don't have my producer to block the BS. XL, you say, David? David, you got a Bo Nix yet? Or oh no, Phil, XL. Howie, large. Howie. Okay, Howie, this is yours, doc. Email me. This Demarius Thomas. You know how hard dude, these things are rarer than hen's teeth right now. Seriously. Email me your shipping address. Howie frickin' day. This jersey's yours. Kirsten Bailey, drummer. Oh, sick, a drummer. Dope. Dope. You have drum videos? I want to check them out. I'll have to go check you out. I'm into that. Shiloh, MHH is the best. Your generosity unmatched, Chad. Hey, you see Shiloh, people like you and others. Yeah. It's the least we can do. The amount of support we get. And by the way, check it out. You know, you've heard me mention a few times that my buddy and mentor, Doc Bear, formerly of it'salloverfatman.com, IAOFM.com, I told you that he bequeathed to me a ball that had Hall of Famer, late, great Floyd Little, the franchise. I finally dug it out of storage. Here it is. Boom. Put it up here with the Elway helmet. So shout outs to the Papa Bear, Road Glide Nash, Taylor Christensen, the Duchess, twice. Love you. Maurice coming back to the manger, which is great. Smouse in the house, Unique Prepping. The Lady D, thank you. Kirsten, Shiloh, go Broncos. Lucas Curl, tight end 1. We shall see, my dog. We shall see. On Facebook, I know for sure. Ronk, Howie, Phil. Did I get a Phil? I don't know if I got a Phil, but I know you're in the chat. Brandon Williams. Where is Phil? Maybe Phil didn't have a question tonight. I'm not sure. I don't have a producer to kind of star the applicable ones. Here we go, right here. Thanks, Chad, for holding down the fort tonight. Looks like Bridge had a great weekend. Yeah, we played our last show. Bridge the Gap did last night. It was a lot of fun. And then had to travel home to be here in time for y'all. So stoked. Okay, guys, I love you. Appreciate you. Yeah, hey, like the video, as your boy String Guy's saying here. Little something helps out, especially if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Like the video, helps us out tremendously. And yeah, Phil, appreciate you, big dog. Love you. Okay, guys. Well, tomorrow it should be the full effect. Like I said, Zach had something very sudden come up that prevented him from being here tonight. But for Zach, I'm Chad Jensen. Much love and respect. Can't wait to see you tomorrow night. Go Broncos.